Hey, good evening. This is Nicolina Nix, and you're listening to Women, Wit, and Wine. And tonight's episode is called Oh, the Horror. And I'm not talking about the girls on the corners. I'm talking about horror movies.
Or our love lives.
Or my love lives. Did you just call me? No, I'm just kidding. Did you just call me?
I was only speaking of myself.
Anyway, our wine tonight is it's a Lindemans. It's called Smile, and for me, I bought it today because it was a little perfect. Because today I saw the movie It. But
oh my gosh,
we'll go into that in a little bit. But we're talking about horror movies today in honor of Halloween and horror movies, and
start off the month right.
Start off our month right, and thanks for joining us, and we're glad that you're here. Chime in if you feel free to chime in. But today, of course, Toby is here with me.
Yes,
as always, or not always, but
most of the time. Some of the time,
intermittently. That's what I call it. But the thing is horror movies. What is a draw to horror movies? Are you a horror movie fan?
You know, I am and I'm not. I have a real love-hate with horror.
Yeah.
There are certain types of horror films that I really love. And it turns out that I think that many of them are actually more suspense. You know, like you and I have had this whole thing about, we've talked about this in the past, about the makeup or certain types of scenes in horror where maybe it's not so much the horror, but it's actually the suspense of the might have been, the could have been, the and then when we look back on the genre, and you and I have had these conversations about the horror films of old. Mm-hmm. Like we've seen a lot of the same horror films. And what is it about horror films? Because like as much as I don't really watch a whole lot of horror movies these days, they have a very special place in my heart. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because of the ones I watched as a kid. Now,
so what was your defining horror movie that scared you to death?
There were several of them.
Okay, what's the first one that you can remember?
The Omen.
The Omen scared you?
The Omen!
Really?
No, okay, but you have to remember. Okay, well maybe you don't remember. I remember that at the time I was going to church a lot, and I had this whole religious upbringing, and the Antichrist actually showing up. And then there was The Shining. And The Shining, I went back and watched The Shining.
Mm-hmm. I just watched it recently because I'm dating Jack Nicholson in my head.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But The Shining, which really, the thing about that film, there's really not a whole lot of horror. There's not a lot of blood and guts and body parts. And
I really think that, but see, I think that's the misconception of horror. Horror is more or less what is terrifying, and to everybody it's different. So certain things can be terrifying. If you're afraid of spiders, watching a movie about spiders and arachnophobia, even though it's funny, could be terrifying for you.
I know.
I know.
But the genre as a whole, do you feel that it has many different...
There's absolutely tons of levels of horror.
Okay, so what are the levels of horror for you? Because I have my own little hierarchy.
Okay, so first off, you have the supernatural. Okay.
The things that cannot be seen and are not seen and
yes,
show up and wreak havoc.
Okay, and then you have the satanic. Okay.
That's all religious based.
That is a religious base. Okay. Exorcism, all that religious base.
The Exorcist.
Yes.
The Omen. The Omen is based
on Lucifer, on him being
the Antichrist. Yeah.
And so and then you have slasher.
Okay, so slasher. Okay, how do you define slasher?
A slasher would be Friday the 13th. Halloween.
You mean-
Those are slasher flicks.
You mean the ones where there's a group of people, there's this like legend in the woods.
Well, yeah, well, okay, like let's say Black Christmas would be considered a slasher.
Okay, Black Christmas. I don't think
It's about a bunch of girls that live in a house. They're sorority kind of thing. I think I think they're in the sorority. They may not, but you have this person going around killing everybody.
There's a guy.
Yes, and whether it's really conceivable or not, it's there. And I mean,
That's
and a lot of it is so far fetched. It's like, really, that guy just got hit in the head with a lead pipe? No way.
That's Halloween or Friday the 13th. Jason.
Freddy Krueger to me became more of a slasher kind of thing.
But it wasn't in the original.
In the original, which was a scary one. But
that was a scary fucking movie.
My defining horror movie was Jaws.
Because it was an unknown and you didn't know when it was going to strike.
And so that is considered a horror movie. It's really not. It's suspense.
You're right. But no, the original Jaws
scared me to death. I didn't sleep for 3 weeks.
Because
I slept with the light on.
I think what not only made it so... It made it the film that it is, the film that we remember, was that they were out floating around on this boat, and then there was
you're gonna need a bigger boat,
and then there was like body parts floating around. Nobody ever saw. We never really saw.
You never saw somebody get eaten.
No.
I mean, So, for example,
you saw the aftermath of it.
No. There's one scene in there. You did. You saw Quinn get eaten. He got eaten. However, the first part that alluded to it was
the woman swimming.
Well, the woman, you never saw her get eaten.
No, but you saw her swimming.
But you didn't see any blood.
But you saw it from away from
you just saw her just.
They put the camera way over here, and they saw her swimming, and then
where it really started was the boy on the raft, because you had a fountain of blood coming up.
That's what made it so awesome, right?
So you never really saw anything, and then of course you had the guy that was looking for his dog. So there's all these things that run through your head, and sometimes our own mind is a horror movie in itself.
Well, but that's what made that particular, maybe not typical horror, but horror.
Well, you have Gothic horror too.
Okay,
Gothic horror is the Terror, the Raven, Edgar Allan Poe concept.
Okay, so
that sense of the first vampire film, Nosferatu.
Back in the day.
You never really saw anything. It was always what your mind let you see.
Yes.
So you create the horror, and sometimes that unseen is even more terrifying than what is seen. And then of course you have
so is that true horror to you? I mean,
yes.
I know.
In the early sense of horror, yes.
For horror films, so we're talking about Nosferatu. How do you feel about the old horror? I think they would be classified as horror. The Mummy.
Those are monster flicks. That's a monster flick. These are a little bit that kind of crosses over. It's about a little bit of that supernatural. It's about the unrealistic thing.
And drama. They were very dramatic.
Absolutely.
Films. Those characters, the Mummy, Frankenstein, Bride of the Mummy, Bride of Frankenstein. They were these. Like over exaggerations of certain types of emotions, possibly.
Yes,
they weren't necessarily the characters. Were
sure. It's that almost. The thought of is this possible? Like zombies. Zombies are very much in that same.
They are possible.
Well, of course they are, but in voodoo,
okay, in the
voodoo world, they are. Serpent in the Rainbow is considered a horror movie, but it's a true story about a man who went down to Haiti to find out what was going on, because this man who reportedly died came back to life. And really what it is that it's that toxin they get from the pufferfish, and that they put into somebody's system, and their rate lowers so low that you can barely detect it, that they assume they're dead. And that's kind of that whole thing. So
so a lot of so like in modern horror now.
Well, think about this. Really, you have main areas. You have killers, which are slashers, monsters, paranormal, and psychological. So
those are your four.
No, these are just main areas of where you do it. And then what happens is they break down into subgenres. So,
right.
But one of the newer ones that's entered into it is I would call it torture porn.
Oh, you mean the ones like
Saw? Absolutely,
and,
torture porn.
Well,
there's no really, that's not a slasher flick. There's
no reason.
That's absolute. That's gore. It's disturbing. So these became part of the genre of that, because like your classic monsters were vampires, werewolves, giant monsters.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you call that slasher porn?
No, I call it torture porn.
Torture porn.
Because it really is.
Okay. Why do you think it's so popular today?
I think we've become so desensitized that we're always pushing that envelope. What's the next? What's the next thing that's going to disturb your mind?
They want. That they want to see actually.
Yeah.
Instead of watching the main character get dragged behind a door and it be closed and you hear screams,
and you don't hear anything, right?
Or you do hear things.
Well, you don't see anything.
But now, but with Saw and Hostel and some of these other ones, they
the sad part about it is yes, and absolutely. See, that's Hostel to me, Saw to me. What's the other one that has come out?
It is October. I think that there will be some films coming out, but I don't really know. I'm not.
Cannibalism, that could be gore, and depending on what you're seeing about it. I don't consider zombies as that kind of gore. There's a lot of gore to zombie flicks, and I remember, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you a true story. I didn't start watching zombie movies until 1986. Okay.
Wow.
And then you want to know the reason why I started watching zombie films? Because I kept having dreams about zombies.
About these people like showing up in your life, like. Ooh.
No, I really was dreaming about zombies. So
did you ever dream that you were a zombie?
No.
You've never had a zombie dream?
No, I've never been.
Okay, I guess maybe I'm the only one.
I've never had a zombie dream.
Okay, so I've had a zombie dream.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll wake up and I'll
I've never had a zombie dream.
You've never had.
I've had that I'm in a zombie infested world.
Okay, was I?
And so in 1986.
Okay.
I just bit the bullet and freaking started watching all these zombie movies.
That's interesting.
Because I thought that there's a reason. For me, it's like
you're dreaming
there's
about
a reason
it?
I'm dreaming
so
about it.
So you must go watch one and figure out
why. But now I a lot of zombie movies I love. I love zombie movies. They're stupid. They're mindless.
Well, yeah, because they're zombies and they're like. Ugh.
But I also like the variations of why you're a zombie.
Okay,
I mean,
I watched
now,
some...
if we talk about George Romero, let's talk about George Romero. One of the things about George Romero, one of the things about George Romero is, one of the things about George Romero is that he,
No, they can still hear me.
no, I know they can still hear us.
Can you still hear me? They
Um,
can still hear me.
a lot of his messages were political based.
Well, they always... Well, I think that film is one of those places where you can express...
Well, when the second one, Dawn of the Dead, it was based on consumerism.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to go stand and protest somewhere, like,
Right.
goes all right. You know what? As a creative and as a writer, you will write it into your book, your film, your whatever. And if you look back at the last 20 years,
yeah.
you've got beats.
No, Amber has beats.
Oh, good for you. That's a good thing. She has some really fancy headphones. When you look back at which types of horror films have really have really in the last 20 years, if we look back to 1997,
yeah,
those slasher films, Saw the torture porn.
Yeah, torture porn.
Torture porn.
I saw the first Saw movie, and that I was done after that.
There really is no plot. There is really no story.
Final Destination became that
Mm-hmm.
because it was like, how much more extreme can we get? The first one was freaking fantastic because it was a little terrifying about how the death will always succeed.
You look like Princess Leia.
Don't judge.
No, I'm not judging.
I'm trying to pair my phone.
Do you want me to go get my phone?
No.
No, okay. So, horror films.
Okay, so, yeah, horror films. So, I remember seeing a lot of films. You know, I've been watching horror movies all my life.
Well, not only that, but you also...
I do makeup for him.
I know. When are we going to do the thing?
I don't know. Well, I probably want to come back. It'll have to be when I come back. So, but...
I seriously need, a bashed up bloody face.
But, you know, I mean, like I said, I remember seeing horror films. You know, I mean, one of my horror films, Damien didn't scare me.
It didn't?
No.
The Omen?
No, it did not scare me. No. But I can tell you that I read The Exorcist when I was pregnant with my first child.
The Exorcist wasn't really that scary.
The book was terrifying. The book is terrifying. And then some stuff was cut out of
the film
because they thought it was too much. Like she's crawling down the stairs backwards.
Okay, did you ever see Trainspotting?
Yeah. No.
The baby thing with the...
Shh, I have never seen Trainspotting. You're not supposed to tell me.
Okay, you need to go watch Trainspotting. Because they...
But she's crawling down the stairs backwards. I don't know. Have you seen that part?
Mm-hmm. I've seen The Exorcist. The Exorcist was kind of... When I saw it for the first time, it was kind of scary, but kind of ridiculous. There were certain aspects of it that were very, very ridiculous. Now, I was raised in a good Christian home, and these kind of things. If you believe in Jesus and God, this will never happen. So, watching it at the time when I was 14 or 15, it was this is ridiculous. I believe in Jesus and God. How could that ever happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now, but The Omen, however, scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, it just terrified me. There could be this little kid who was the Antichrist and all this stuff. So, now looking back on it, I'm 44 years old. And I realized why those movies scared me at the time, or didn't scare me at the time, given my belief at the time.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. 'Cause I wasn't raised an overly religious person. But at the same time,
but horror is good.
You know,
horror,
okay, so
horror does.
I remember seeing Jaws. I remember seeing Fear No Evil. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Fear Not Evil.
That was an interesting. It was a very religious based movie, of course, and it was basically you had the three angels, Gabriel, Raphael, and Michael, Michael. But the three angels, and then this guy turned out. It's high school based, and the guy turns out that he's Lucifer's son, more or less, and the girl that he's attracted to, or more or less, she's one of the angels, and so it becomes this whole show. It was an interesting. I watched it years later. It's called Fear No Evil, and there's no names in it. There's no big names in it or anything like that. So it's not like something that would be such a mainstream. But I saw it at the drive-in. I remember seeing it at the drive-in. Huh.
Oh, do you ever miss those days?
I do.
I miss dollar movie night.
They still kind of have them, but they're not $1 anymore.
They're like $1.50 or $2.
So, but you know, there's a lot of movies that I like for.
Okay, back to the genre of horror.
I remember seeing Suspiria. Suspiria scared the hell out of me. Was a movie that I have it on. I have it on DVD.
It sounds like my obscure, like one of my.
It's Dario Argento film, which is Italian horror.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's always been a big thing.
Okay, you have to message it to me so I can watch it.
And then I liked that kind of stuff, and I also like Mario Bava. Who one of the movies I saw was Demons, and that was a very cool movie about demons, and it's about all of these people get these free tickets to a theater, and
they show up and
no, there's a display, and there's a display, and this woman picks up the mask and it scratches her face, and then everybody slowly becomes all demons.
Yeah,
in the theater, and it was pretty interesting. It was one of these are early movies that I see in
like in the 80s or 90s.
80s. These are all in the 80s.
Yeah, horror had a different flavor back then, didn't it?
It did.
There was
you still had movies that because Halloween was back then and all that stuff. That was the pre stuff. But then
Friday the 13th.
It started.
How do you feel? Okay, honestly, how do you feel about the Friday the 13th films? That they went through that whole series and then eventually came back, and now it's still back again. How do you feel?
They remade it, and the remake was. I mean, the problem. I didn't like. I saw Friday the 13th at the theater, of course, at the drive-in, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I saw Jaws at the theater.
Yeah.
But
do you think that they have done a service or a disservice to horror films by doing stuff like that with movies like this?
You mean sequel after sequel after sequel?
Well, the films are decent films. They're entertaining. Okay. But do you think that maybe they should have stopped at some point?
Yes, because it gets to be a little bit overkill. Like when you're like in Jason 10. Jason Takes Manhattan. Dude, really? The guy's been fucking dead. He's rotten. He's rotted. They buried him. His freaking skin is rotted by now. He's fucking nothing but a skeleton. I mean, let's be realistic. And
but it's Friday the 13th. It's Jason. It's the.
I wasn't a huge Friday the 13th fan.
No, neither was I.
I mean,
what about the Halloweens and all the Halloweens?
I wasn't a Halloween fan. I saw the first one, and it didn't really scare me. That didn't scare me.
Okay. What about the Freddy Kruegers and the
first one scared me.
Yes, the
The first one scared me, and it was good scare. But the second, the rest of them just got stupid.
Okay, so what other horror films
do I like? Oh my god.
I know you have.
Okay, so like, I mean, if you think about slashers, like Scream is a slasher flick.
but
That
Scream,
was good because it was a little on the comedic side.
but it was also on the like kind of creepy, scary, sneaky side.
Right.
That's what made it good.
Yes.
The fact that it wasn't trying to be a horror film.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre scared me. The first one.
Oh, that one. Oh, I have issues with that one.
But if you look at it, people keep trying to say that it's very close to Ed Gein.
Because I do believe that it actually was based on something that...
I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
Which, when it came out, when the original came out,
Mm-hmm.
somebody took the story...
And said it was true. And then people started believing it. Haven't you noticed there's a lot of horror films that basically say it's based on a true story? What true story?
Loosely based on a true story or whatever. Or they fictionalize it to the point that maybe...
Yes. And then you have let's think.
This is a good conversation.
Hills Have Eyes. Okay. The original probably had left more to the imagination, where the remake is much more gory and graphic. And wrong turn. I'm not into the inbred rednecks chasing you kind of horror. I don't like that kind of stuff. It's stupid. Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
I watched the first one, and I barely sat through that. And there's a reason for me, because for me as an empath,
those kind of stories are... Yes, I know.
Things like that.
I know.
And then people go, well, why don't you like this? And I'm like, because I really believe that I've never watched Misery. Never. You know why? Because there's people out there like that. I mean, you have people who have been kidnapped and for 10 years in a basement, in a cellar.
Well, I know those stories.
So these are now in our mainstream, which reaffirms it's real. And there's people out there like that, and it's scary.
You've really never seen this.
No, I refuse to watch.
So would you consider that like one of the worst horrors for you? Like possible horror films for you? Possible horror stories?
No. Well, yes, I think that's a terrible thing, because it's very true about our psychosis. Of that,
but she really loved him.
She loved him so much she was willing to kill him and not let him go.
And she was willing to. She loved like him, the celebrity, and
well, what it was is she really was in love with the book. She didn't love him; she loved the book.
No,
and then he stopped writing the book. And so when he got in the accident wasn't really because of her.
No.
She got in the accident and she just happened upon him, took him in to take care of him, realized who he was, and wanted him to rewrite the book because she died. He killed her off in the book, and so she wanted it rewritten.
I know.
That's scary.
That's like obsession, like that.
To the nth degree.
To me, that's like true horror, like...
Right, it is. It really
I'd
is.
rather somebody stab me in the chest and let me bleed out.
I wouldn't. No, see, home invasions. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of the home invasion movies. The
home invasion movies.
The Strangers, You're Next. Where people okay. So even though I will tell you that I have watched all of the Purge films,
that's okay.
I have watched all the Purge films. But, I think the concept of it is very original because, for one night a year, everybody is allowed to go out and kill, rob, whatever. You're allowed to break the law. Okay. It's a little extreme and a little over the top, but it's...
But I think all of us on some
all of us on that sub-level think...
The reason why this show has been successful...
If I only had that one day a year... I have a whole list of people I'd be there'd be a pile of bodies. Yeah.
If I had that one day a year, I I don't think I would actually go do it myself, but I would plot.
Right. I mean, I think that, but here's the thing. It's okay. Let's put this on the relationship level. Into relationships. I am hurting because this such and such broke my heart. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think our natural inclination as people, it's not a healthy one, but
Never said
it's how we are. We want that person to understand how much you really hurt me, so we ourselves will say stuff, do stuff.
That is the true horror.
And I think that's terrifying. I mean, I think
okay,
that in some ways, I think that's why people have crimes of passion. Okay, my
wife left me.
My wife left me for somebody else, and so what am I going to do? I'm going to go kill her and her lover.
Or I'm going to hire somebody to kill her lover.
Right.
Or I'm going to invite her to a thing and I'm going to poison her.
But in your head, wouldn't you think, wouldn't you just love to have some people that have hurt you so badly just freaking begging for their lives? In your head? It doesn't mean that you're going to do it.
Yeah, actually I would. You know my answer.
I know.
The Dom...
So then,
quartered and tied,
right.
And just hanging there.
Yes, and so then,
come on,
yeah, I know. I do. And so
I think this is a great conversation.
And then let's go. Okay, then you have monsters, and we're not talking about the classic monsters. I'm talking about like Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead.
Have you never seen Pumpkinhead? Have you ever seen it?
I think I did like many years ago.
So, basically it was somebody that you called upon. It's kind of like the Golem. The Golem. You know what the Golem is?
Yes,
the Golem
in
the Torah, the Golem
yes.
is somebody is a creature, a creature made from dirt that will come and rectify people who have done you wrong, who will bring people to justice for people that you've done wrong. And that's the very theory of Pumpkinhead. The man's son gets killed and by these reckless teenagers, and so the guy goes to the witch and calls on Pumpkinhead for him to get his vengeance. That was the word I was looking for when I was saying rectify. We're looking for vengeance.
But does vengeance actually bring us peace?
No, it doesn't. But there was a good concept. It doesn't, because in Pumpkinhead, if you remember watching it, it kills pretty much everybody, but the last person.
I know they.
But the reality of it was when the witch told the guy, when he said, I want to bring my boy back, and she goes, I can't bring him back. Go bury your man, Ed Hardy. And no, go bury your boy, Ed Hardy. Just go away. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I want justice, more or less. And so what happens is all these people die, and at the end of the movie, what people don't maybe not really catch the beginning, he becomes Pumpkinhead at the end.
Yes, because he called on the Pumpkinhead.
But again, that's the point. It's that we want it. However, it doesn't serve you justice. Because at the end of the day, you become what you fear, in a way.
Okay. Welcome to...
Tremors. Remember Tremors? Tremors is considered a horror movie, believe it or not. It's more sci-fi than it is horror. Okay?
Oh, I do remember Tremors. Oh my God, Tremors. Oh my God, I can remember sitting in the theater watching that.
Tremors?
And going, yeah, this was... Okay, it's so bad, but I'm, kind of enjoying it.
Right.
This was back in the day. Whatever year that movie came out. Sat in the theater.
1990.
I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go see everything. Yeah. This was one of those movies that we, went and saw.
Sure.
It was like, well, is this okay, it's a desert, it's worms, it's a comedy,
Yeah, there's a little bit of comedy in it. And And then again, that was one of those things that you kind of took off, and there's like six trimmers now,
it's like
or something like that.
Like the
In fact, they're actually going to try and do it into a television series because they're doing casting calls for calls for here,
like here, yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting, but
Tremors, like the original film was. I didn't know at the time if it was a horror film
or a comedy, yeah,
or a comedy. I took it as a comedy, like a ha ha ha.
And there's a lot of those, really.
Like, okay, which other ones? What other films are like comedy?
Some zombie films are comedy. There's a zombie film called Fido. I fucking love that movie. And I have no idea what happened to it.
You know what? Okay, you know what? At some point when you get back from Mexico, we're going to sit down and you're going to school me on your
my
horror.
But let me tell you the pretense of Fido.
Okay.
Fido is basically, it's kind of set in the 50s, and it's basically where we have decided to try to domesticate zombies. Because they're flesh eaters. So they're having them as pets and as servants and that kind of thing. They're domesticating the zombies.
When somebody died.
So it was like a new twist on the zombie genre, but it's
from the 50s?
No, it's I think it was done in
it's recent.
early 2000s. Early 2000s.
Oh. Did you ever see the one about the zombie with the love and Oh gosh.
Warm Bodies. I love that movie.
Yes.
I love that movie. Yes.
He's like, but I really don't want to be a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in love.
And then like I said, that was actually a good movie. I liked it. That was actually from a teenage book. One of the
like
teen novels.
But I woke up and I just saw this girl and I was.
Mm-hmm. He says, I'll be walking around this mall for the rest of my life. Or the airport or something, or wherever he was. Because everybody that was there, they just didn't know. And then, of course, love sets in. But then, okay. So
that's my favorite zombie movie.
So let's go back to Pumpkinhead and Tremors.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of what, it's a subgenre. It's called some people call it neo-monsters. Because it's basically that we're constantly trying to create new monsters.
Yeah.
So we have Pumpkinhead. But again, Pumpkinhead to me was the Golem. It's the story of the Golem.
It is the Golem.
Yes.
Call upon something to...
Right. Tremors. Feast. I don't know if you ever saw Feast. Feast was on... There's a little comedy in Feast. It actually was produced by the Maloofs. Yes.
From here?
From here. Yes. I think I might have it. I don't know if I have it here or not. We'll have to watch that.
Okay, start the playlist. Come over.
But Feast was very original. It was very cool because they're trapped in a bar in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my god! I cannot imagine the worst thing ever. Unless
and it had a pretty freaking awesome cast. It had
who was on it?
Jane Cook. Eric Dane was in it from Grey's Anatomy. He was McSteamy. Not McDreamy.
No, not McDreamy. It was the other one with the nose.
I like Patrick Dempsey, though.
I know. I liked him, too. I don't know.
Dane was the other
one.
And
then at some point, I don't know. There was a point.
And then, of course, it had Jason Mewes from Jay and Silent Bob. It had Balsar Getty in it.
Balsar Getty.
And it had Clu McGregor or something like that. He's an old Western kind of guy. But it was really written by them. Mm-hmm. His family. I don't know if it was his son or something like that. But when you watch it, you recognize people in it.
Mm.
Okay, so... and in the beginning, it basically is like... you introduce to people, there's this little byline that runs through it. And it tells you what their survival rate possibility is.
Okay, it's called the
So there's
Feast.
it's called Feast, and I might have it. We could, if you want, if you're up for it, we can watch it after this. But it's very creative, and I really kind of liked that concept of it. Oh, Henry Rollins was in it from Black Flag. Oh my God, yes.
I mean,
yes,
oh,
Henry Rollins is in it. There's another person in it, but like I said, so like there's all these people in it. It's an indie film, and so but it was done here in New Mexico. The Malus produced it, and I remember seeing it when I was working down on my first not my first film, my second film.
Black Flag, Henry Rollins.
Black Flag, but he was also in one of the Wrong Turns.
Oh my gosh, and he was in the other one.
This most recent one is he never died.
He's one of those like musicians turned.
Yes, absolutely. And then and then of course you have the little creature ones like trolls, gremlins, ghoulies, critters. Those can be considered horror, but it's more fantasy horror kind of thing.
Well, I think that. Do you know what I believe that those films, the little creature fantasy horrors, are based on our Creatures Under the Bed, The Knock in the Night.
Yes and no. I also think that they're a little bit based on that mythological creatures such as fairies, ghouls, trolls, brownies. Absolutely. Remember. Let's
come on.
Let's think about this.
Have you not ever
think about this? How's this for a movie idea? You remember the Borrowers?
Yes.
The little mini people that lived in your house? What if you made them into zombies?
Made them evil?
No, just made them into zombie kind of thing. No, made them evil. You can kind of totally rewrite it.
Okay, no, but but brownies are not actually considered all that nice. They do things.
Right. They're really not. Brownies, sprites, fairies, they're really not. These creatures are really not.
The fairy are really cannot. Okay, if you believe in that. Mm-hmm. The fairy, they really like to fuck with us. If you believe in that.
I'm sure you do.
And I believe that those stories, ghoulies, gremlins, and all of that, are born from.
Absolutely, that's what that comes from. So if you think about that, you have that small creature thing, and then so I didn't watch a lot of those. I do remember watching. I remember watching Ghoulies.
Ghoulies.
And then another one that was it was kind of a crossover of the vampire movie and the small creature thing. It was called Subspecies because he had like little tiny things like that.
Yeah.
So and then of course you have sci-fi monsters, Alien.
Well,
Alien. The Fly. The Fly is really kind of a sci-fi kind of thing. I mean, if you really watch the Vincent Price one, which is absolutely different than
you mean the original,
the really
old one,
but it's pretty much the same pretense. It's that science fiction cross, and then of course
we can change who we are.
Yes, that you change.
You can change who you are.
He did some kind of test, and then he did some kind of experiment, and became the Fly. And then we remade it with Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, so in the original... Sorry, I know I keep spilling the wine.
Because you're supposed to tip it up when you do.
I did.
No, you're not supposed to do it like that.
Oh, shit.
That's why you're spilling.
Okay, I don't know this thing. I'm trying.
Lesson in pouring.
No, she has this thing on the thing.
You do this. Ready? And then you do this. So you have an aerator in it.
Well, I didn't realize there was a hole in the back of its head.
So
that is my relative horror.
One of my loves for horror.
That's the
makeup,
wine horror.
Makeup came from one is American Werewolf in London. Okay. The other one is The Thing. Here's the thing. The Thing was...
Okay,
The Thing is a classic sci-fi movie, right?
Yes, it is.
You remember who The Thing was?
I don't remember who he was.
Do you know who the actor was? It was
No.
James Arness, Gunsmoke.
But I know the.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's who played the Thing. James Arness from Gunsmoke was the Thing. And then we remade it with Kurt Russell. You haven't seen the remake with Kurt Russell of the Thing?
I did, but it was.
And again, that has an amazing cast,
I'm
too.
thinking Swamp Thing.
You're thinking Swamp Thing.
I'm thinking of a different
The Thing
film.
is in Antarctica.
Yes,
Because they remade it. They didn't remake it. They did a prequel.
the prequel of how the
Yes, of when of like the base. Okay, because when you start the movie, of The Thing, the remake one, the current one, you see the dogs running. Okay, you see these huskies running in the snow. That's from the 1982 film. That is footage from the 1982 film. And so you go through it, and they find the thing, and blah blah blah, and then they put it in the ice, basically, because that's where they find this. They find this thing in this block of ice because it was frozen. And at the end, you see
feels like my heart.
you see the start of it. Okay, so
The Thing.
one of my favorite.
Okay, we're gonna have a moment.
Right, I'm having a. I gotta get up here. But one of the things I liked about The Thing, Amber.
Okay, she's going to go find The Thing from The Thing, the movie. I guess I should keep talking.
Keep talking.
The Thing. Okay, so The Thing, the movie, the original was in 1982.
No, the original was in like the 60s.
Okay, yeah, I thought
But then
so.
they remade it. They remade it in 1982 with Kurt Russell.
Okay.
So, but that was one of my things that created a love for makeup for me.
For makeup, are we going to start doing this makeup again?
For special effects.
Mhm.
I would love to do it again. So,
And then there was in 1982 the thing about the snow, the scene across the snow.
Yes, the scene across the snow. It was part of the remake of the film. This
Okay.
was a defining moment for me.
That scene.
One of the and the other scene is, which I have that guy too, but he's passed away. Is where the stomach opens up and he's doing the what's those things that shock you?
Mm-hmm.
He's shocking the guy because I think he's having a heart attack, and then his stomach opens up and there's teeth in it, and the doctor's hands go in it, and then he bites the doctor's hands off from the stomach. But at the same time, his head has fallen off the table and sprouts legs and starts walking. You don't remember that?
Mm.
That was like
Why do you think I had the reaction? that I
those
did?
were defining moments for me, for my love of doing horror makeup.
You like to actually.
That's what I want to
do.
I want to do prosthetics and animatronics. That was one of the things
Okay,
I wanted
okay.
to do. So
Okay.
So in
No, I do remember. That's why I reacted because I do remember. It was like the
Right, it was
the
a
thing
defining-
with alien with the thing with the teeth and the thing.
yeah,
and-
you know that scene. Okay, here.
Yeah, I can't even describe it because
The bit of trivia of that is they didn't know that he was going to do that
I know
on the table. So because they wanted a genuine reaction.
but
We got one of those.
we have a couple of them.
So, but yes,
Those moments,
Alien.
Which
Absolutely, that's a shock moment.
which is
Yeah.
it's a big, huge moment in the plot.
Mhm.
It's a huge reveal. It's a huge thing, and had there not been the
Okay, never mind.
wait, what are people saying?
Nobody's saying anything. I was just looking at something, and I read it incorrectly.
Did they say something nasty?
No, I read. I'm looking at the horror genres and subgenres. And I just read it wrong. It was about vampires, and I misread it. Like werewolves. Let's talk about werewolves. American Werewolves. American Werewolf in London.
I don't think werewolves.
American Werewolf in London. I love that movie. One of my favorite movies.
You know, okay.
In fact, right there is the Nazi werewolf right there.
Okay. So, as a makeup artist, yep, that's from that film.
That's from that film. What about me?
Madam?
Well, you know, a lot of our...
No, how did they do that back then? There was no CGI. It was
mechanical. I mean, I don't know if you ever went to Universal Studios.
Yes, I have many times.
Okay. Well, in Universal Studios, they have a thing about horror, making horror makeup kind of thing. And it was a animatronic that had plates that would do the shifting, and that's how you saw that. Now, some movies will do a body movement, like The Howling. Okay, you remember The Howling? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so because when
he like goes up into the thing,
right? No, but what you see is when he's in a room with the guy, with the guy that was going through the file cabinet. He's going through the file cabinet, right? Mm-hmm. And he comes in. The werewolf guy comes in, and he's like, blah blah blah. I want to give you a piece of my mind. Digs into his brain. But at one point, you see him, and he starts doing this, you know, with his face. He's contorting. But then he moves like this, and then he comes back around, and his face is out a little farther. So sometimes it's by the slip of the camera of, you know, we've done that. It's a little bit of camera editing. So he kind of does this, and he comes back around, and his mouth is bigger, and then it's like, so you don't really necessarily see that. So you don't have that. But in American Werewolf in London,
they did that whole thing. There's that
was plates. It was an animatronic plates that caused his face to move in and out and increase and come out.
So was that movie to you a horror movie?
Yes, it would be considered a horror movie. I mean, Griffin Dunne is talking to David Naughton dead because, you know, he attacked him.
Great movie.
And Griffin Dunne was an absolute comedic relief to that film, but it was great.
Griffin Dunne was his friend, right?
Right, Griffin Dunne was the friend. And you know, so if you kind of think about this kind of stuff, you know, but a lot of us now, a lot of that gets taken away.
Okay, so
that horror effect of
so how does it get taken away? What is taking it away?
CGI, because a lot of this stuff is now CGI. I can put on a blue outfit, you know, green screen myself more or less, and they can create me.
Okay.
They can now create me. I don't need to spend 8 hours in a makeup chair.
Do you think that horror?
I don't think it has what it used to have. Dog Soldiers was one of my favorite werewolf movies.
Do you think that it's losing something because of CGI?
I do. So.
What do you think can?
How do you do that? It's cost. It's more cost effective to do CGI than it is to hire me. And time saving. We can just do that in post. I mean, how many times do you hear that on a set? We can do that in post. We can fix that in post.
Yeah, but you know, that's like kind of bullshit. I think that's like, as a director and a writer, personally, I really only want to do things in post.
Right.
That I cannot create in this world.
Right.
Okay, so I'm a crazy person, but do you think horror films are being lost to CGI, or?
I do. They're putting me out of work. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Yes and no. Again, you gotta think about it. You gotta think about how you want to be affected by it. But I think we got a little bit off the subject talking about makeup. But I mean, think about this.
No, we're still talking about.
We're still
films.
talking about horror films. But
the horror.
Oh, the horror.
Oh, the horror. What has happened to our horror films?
You know what? I'll tell you, movies. You know, let's think about this.
Let's talk about movies.
Let's go back to fucking movies. Man. Okay, psychological thriller. Okay, The Shining would be psychological.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? You know. So, what would be psychological horror? The Fan, Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
It's all psychological.
The Psycho.
A Tale of Two Sisters. That's an Asian film, but they remade it.
Psycho was like way back in the 60s. And they keep remaking. They keep going back to it.
Because it was a classic type of horror. It was that suspenseful horror.
But people know it. Do you think that all these remakes of all these horror films are because... Do you think that it's happening because...
Okay, let's take for Halloween, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It was remade.
Mm-hmm. It's being remade like 3 times or some shit.
Rob Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Take on it. It was terrible. I didn't like it because
there was nothing...
Well, you know, in my opinion...
Okay.
Rob Zombie movies. Not that I don't have any respect for Rob Zombie because I don't care one way or another about him. But here's the thing that you think about this. To me, when he writes it, it's almost right. You know, and I hate to stereotype. It's almost written like the redneck trailer trash type of thing.
So it's like taking...
Is that who he is? I don't know. Maybe that's who he is.
But taking something that was very successful,
mm-hmm.
rewriting it in a way to a certain audience
mm-hmm.
who already liked the film. It's not like they have to... It's not like he was trying to write to a new audience.
Right? He was. He was writing to his audience.
Well...
He was writing to the... metal rockers audience. These were people that watched it. These are the people that watched A House of a Thousand Corpses, 31, or what's the other one? Devil's Rejects. These are the people that watch these things.
Okay, so...
And am I saying that that's a bad thing?
No.
I mean, you have to
have... paid fucking money.
You have to have a target audience. And so, for me, it's like, okay, I'm a woman, and so, like, when I started, like, for instance, when I started...
Are you really a woman? I thought you were a female chauvinist.
When I started this show, it was really mostly what I thought would be about relationships.
Okay,
however, the reality of it is, it's really about life from a little bit of my perspective, my life experience, and the guests that I can think about, subjects and topics I want to talk about.
It's your voice. This show
absolutely
is you putting your voice and perspective out there. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I put my voice and my perspective out there in my own way, too.
Right.
We are not Rob Zombie.
We're not. I'm not.
We're not these rich motherfucking rock stars who can just say, I'm going to buy the rights to this film.
Yes. So, you know, but then, okay.
Did I do it right?
You did. Good job. See,
oh my god, and the wine. We killed the bottle of wine. Is anybody even listening to us?
We'll know later. God, I really didn't advertise it. It was a last minute.
What?
I didn't really advertise much. It was a last minute kind of thing.
We have a knock on the...
No, that's Amber coming out of the bathroom.
Amber?
She took a shower. That's her shutting her door. So, okay. And then there's movies like... You think about this. Because... We're still kind of like what Eddie was saying last week about how puritanical view.
Sex.
I mean, if you think about this, Okay, think about this. Being in London, being in Germany, being in
I know, because when
other
you go
countries, their commercials are much more risque.
Yes, they are.
I mean, their commercials
Yes,
are much
they
more
are.
risque. So their cinematic
Yes,
filming
yes,
is much
yes.
more risque. There's a lot of things in there that we wouldn't necessarily put in there. But now we're kind of getting into more of that. But again, we're not really doing that.
But not really.
Because I think about Ju-on. Let's think about Ju-on, The Grudge, which was remade in America.
The Ju-on.
And that movie scared. You know what? You should never go to the wine festival when everybody's out of town and come home and watch Ju-on. When you're 3 sheets to the wind,
Because you did this.
and you go and you lock the back of this huge house that you live in, and then you realize in the morning it was really stupid because the door unlocks from the other side, and that's where the stairs are. And you could have been gotten by the Grudge anyway. I'm just saying.
Okay.
So it's 6 o'clock. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about. I'm just going to name off some things. You think of a movie of what you would identify this with, and then
Is this like a fucking test?
I don't know.
Yes, it's a freaking test.
So let's talk about slasher. What would you be if you had a favorite slasher? What's your favorite slasher?
I don't have a favorite slasher, but I think that when you say slash, I think Saw, Hostel.
Yeah, right.
Never seen them, but that's it.
Okay, how about classic monsters?
The Mummy, Frankenstein, like old school. Mummy.
Which is your favorite? You know, when I was in middle school, I did a report on Boris Karloff because I loved him so much.
Frankenstein. He is he's like the old school Frankenstein. Like he was a person, but he was a monster.
Okay.
And he's a monster. He just
Was that your favorite one?
Yeah, because he just like he kind of monster. He was a monster. Everybody called him a monster. He was a monster. He was Sorry.
It's okay.
Dropped my water.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, it's not going anywhere.
Well, he was a reanimated.
He wasn't really a person, and he was just kind of a reanimated thing.
Sure he was.
And he was a monster.
Yeah.
Like, when I think of monster, I think of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, let's talk about giant monsters. Giant monster genre. Let's talk about this. You know what it is?
Giant monster.
Uh-huh.
Giants. Like, bigger than ourselves?
King Kong, Godzilla.
Give me a minute.
War of the Gargantuans. You remember that one?
I do. Okay, giants.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the giants from Harry Potter.
No. That's not one. No, I'm talking about
Old school?
Godzilla.
Godzilla?
Yeah, Godzilla.
Okay.
I'm talking
about
King Kong.
Godzilla.
Cloverfield. I hated that movie.
Did you fucking say that to me?
Cloverfield. War of the Gargantuans.
Giants?
They were giant ape-like monsters.
Jesus, really?
Okay,
really?
How about nature and animals? Let's talk about that kind of horror. What would your film be that? I mean, Jaws was the defining moment for me. You got to think about it. The birds, piranha, Cujo.
Mine would be
The Killer Tomatoes.
Seriously, you just. Okay.
I fucking had to throw that out there.
Okay, that's okay. You're my friend. You're allowed to like knock my train off its track. Okay. It's I think they're called dinosaurs.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay,
So you would say like Jurassic Park kind of thing?
okay, in a certain setting, meaning one day,
this one time at band camp,
at this one time, we're driving down the street, and suddenly there's a dinosaur,
okay.
like walking up the street.
Do you think that's scary? Would that scare you?
Yeah, fuck yes, it would.
Why?
Because as far as I know, dinosaurs are extinct. Would that not be... No, come on. Okay, we could go walk out in front of your house right now. Walk down to, like, Manal. Be like, yeah, life's good. And we see this, like, Triceratops, like, walking down the road. Like it belongs. It's not attacking us. It's just there. Would that not be freaking scary for you? That would scare the shit out of me.
No. Unless he was like shooting laser out of his eyes. Totally different.
Okay, so... But if you saw zombies, like a whole thing of zombies, would that scare you?
A zombie? Not necessarily. Oh, okay. So... I don't know. Maybe I'm desensitized. Okay, vampires. Okay, 30 Days a Night. That was based off of a illustrated novel.
30 Days of Night.
I like that one. It's in Barrow, and it was a perfect pretense of it.
Barrow,
yeah. So basically, what happens is because Barrow goes dark.
Yeah, I've been.
And so, like all of a sudden, they're taken over by all these vampires. Because it's 30 Days of Night. So these vampires get to come to Barrow, Alaska and feast.
And kill everybody.
And pretty much kind of kill everybody. So, another vampire movie. Let's talk about Last Man on Earth. Is a book written, and it's very sci-fi-ish, and it was remade by it was made into a movie with Vincent Price. That was the original. And then the next one was called the Will Smith one, I Am Legend. That's really the pretense of I Am Legend is The Last Man on Earth. However, in between that is The Omega Man.
The Omega Man.
Charlton Heston.
Mm-hmm.
And really what it is that's a vampire genre movie. Believe it or not. It is.
No, it is.
It is. A lot of people don't think about that, but that was pretty...
Well, because the way it was written and the way they...
Yes. Right. I mean, in the Omega Man, they weren't necessarily vampires. They were just light-sensitive people who became...
Who could live forever and, like, whenever.
And so that was interesting. So, and then of course, we got zombie genres. Of course, you have the two types of zombie genres. There's the zombie genre that's based off of virus, and then you have the one that they're just coming back from the dead. Like,
I know.
28 Days Later it was a rage virus that infected people from monkeys
and created them into zombies.
And it created them into zombies. And then of course then you have Night of the Living Dead, which came
where all of a sudden
one of my first zombie films. I'm going to tell you my first zombie film was it was in the 70s. It was done by Bob Clark. who made a movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
I think that's good advice.
It's the name of the movie, believe it or not. But it was, and it was kind of, but basically, these
was
kids,
it tongue in cheek? Was it?
No, it was a zombie. It was true to the zombie.
That was actually a full.
Yeah,
they got funded for that.
It's Bob Clark.
Bob Clark. Okay.
You don't know who Bob Clark is, do you? Off the top of your head.
I know the name.
Yeah.
Somehow.
You know him. Bob Clark. Let's see. Let's talk about what he's best known for.
He did something big.
Christmas Story. Black Christmas. Murder by Degree. Oh my God.
That's why I know the name.
I fucking remember Porky's. He did Porky's.
Porky's. That's what I know.
He did Porky's.
Okay, so my
Okay,
that's good.
Oh my God.
Okay,
but
so
yes,
the zombie films.
So zombie films. I'm a zombie fan.
You are a zombie.
I am.
Fan.
Dawn of the Dead. I'm a George Romero fan.
George Romero is good in
I liked the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I did. I liked the cast in it. They expanded it because the cast went from.
But did you like the story? Did you like the film?
Absolutely.
What did you like best about it?
Which one?
Okay, pick your fucking favorite.
Which one? I guess I don't know.
No, but you should.
I like the original Dawn of the Dead, which it was only a cast of 4 people more or less, and of course all the zombies. But then I also like the remake of it, and I kind of like the idea. The virus is in it, but it wasn't a virus. People were getting bitten, and they ended up in the mall, and so they're holed up in the mall, and then of course then after that came Day of the Dead. That was really pretty gory for me because there's a point where they're pulling the man's body apart, and the thing that really bugged me was when because here's the thing of how I see the George Romero films. Night of the Living.
Still alive?
Yeah, we're still alive.
We're still alive?
We're still alive, yeah. Night of the Living.
I think it's been more than an hour.
It has. I told you it's been more than an hour. It's been 12 minutes over now. So,
okay.
Night of the Living Dead was the first one.
Night of the Living Dead, George Romero.
And then we go to Dawn of the Dead again. George Romero, that's consumerism. And then we went to Day of the Dead, which was a military base and they're in a bunker kind of thing. However, in Day of the Dead, they're teaching zombie Bub, to talk. So they're domesticating him, right?
What I'm not wearing...
So they're domesticating Bub. Bub, who used to be a military man, can kind of almost speak, can use a gun, can kind of shows the mannerisms of Bub. Can salute, recognizes when somebody's an officer.
Do you ever feel like this in your life?
No. But anyway, okay, so he started becoming much more animated. Like his brain was a little bit, the synapses were working. And then we went to the Land of the Dead. Land of the Dead came up many more years later. Land of the Dead was... The thing I didn't like about Land of the Dead is that the zombies could communicate by grunts. Ugh. So we went from Bub, who could kind of start forming words, because the doctor was working with him.
I think I look like that.
To zombies who communicated by grunting.
Do I look like that?
Zombies who communicated by grunting. So, you progressed into this kind of thing. And so, it kind of changed. It changed. And then with 28 days later. 28 days later was the virus.
The virus.
But when they remade Dawn of the Dead, zombies ran. They didn't amble along. That was what was cool about it, So it made it different. So it
evolves.
It evolved. It does. You have to evolve a little bit.
Always.
So again, what is your favorite genre movie? What does it? Why do we watch it? I think that the concept of it is do we watch it as an escape, or do we just have this love for zombie movies?
Well, I don't know. I have my own reason for loving and hating horror.
Do you remember the Twilight Zone?
Oh God!
Do you remember the Twilight Zone movie?
Oh my gosh! Yes.
The favorite part of that movie was when they're in the car. No.
Okay, yours.
Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks are in the car, and they're like, because and they're just talking, blah blah blah. And he goes, "You want to see something really scary?" And this is kind of how the movie ends. And he goes, "Yeah, sure." He goes, and then he kind of turns like this, and then he comes around and he's a monster, and it's like, oh my God,
that's what you remember from that film.
Oh, I remember all of them. The boy with the imagination and
the John Lithgow with the like.
But that was originally William Shatner. Did you know that? In the Twilight Zone, that episode was the William Shatner one with the monster on the wing.
Which there really wasn't any dialogue. It was all the. Because what's really scary is all the years I saw that back in the 80s. I've been on planes many times. Been on the wing.
You're looking at that wing going, where the fuck is that little fucker?
And then it's like, I look out there and it's like, yep, nothing out there. I'm good. Flight's good. Within the 10 minutes of the flight.
So think about that. I mean, so tell me your reasons. Let's wrap this up by you telling me your reasons for horror. My
reasons for horror. My reasons?
Why? Yeah, you said you have a love-hate for them.
I have a love-hate for it.
Yes.
Okay, I love horror. And I love to read it. I love to watch it on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does offer an escape. Mm-hmm. It does let me escape the horror of my life.
Right.
No matter what is going on. As a writer, it's titillating to write it. There was something... I love writing comedy, and I love writing drama, but there's something about horror.
Do you think you could write a horror film?
Absolutely, I could. And I am.
You are?
Yeah.
That's true, you are.
Of course I am. I am.
For me, the horror for me was just, it's about what's not real.
It's about escape. And honestly, like with horror, there are no rules. You can create anything, you can do anything. You can kill everybody in your entire cast. You can exact revenge.
I gotta.
Within your cast.
I got a few.
No, really. There is a certain purge and a certain... I can't do that in my real life. I cannot do that in my real life. No, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'm just kidding you.
As a writer, I can channel those feelings into my film.
That's true, you could.
A year ago, it was all about comedy. At this point in time, it's all about... I don't know. I'm starting to embrace horror and suspense. Which, thank you. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thanks for being here.
And thank you for the wine.
I appreciate it. So, I'm probably not gonna, let's talk about this. I'm going to wrap up. We're wrapping up here. I'll be gone, so there won't be a show next week. There might be one. I might do one on the road and upload it later. But there won't be a show next week, and then the week after, we will have David Montoya, a very young, talented comedian that will be on our show to introduce, to talk about his comedy, and talk about how he has decided to hopefully make it into a career for himself.
And then after that, we will have some other amazing shows. It will be our 1-year anniversary.
Holy shit!
Where we will have Toby and I will have the talented Mary Bird back with us. She was our first guest.
Mary Bird is coming back?
Mary Bird will be with us. And so that's going to be pretty exciting. And then in November, I have Rusty Rutherford and another one. It's a great organization that I'll be posting here soon. Those dates coming up. But it's Victims of Violent Crimes. It's an advocacy for them, and hopefully we're going to have some other great guests. So be on the lookout. And we're going to sign off. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. This is Nicolina Nix and Toby Camille on Women Win Wine. Have a great night.